And we are back for part two of understanding and coming to grips with what Christ-centered mysticism is. One of the arts that Christian mystics pursue is meditation and contemplation. Now, the purpose of a Christ-centered mystic, when we meditate and contemplate, we are aligning our mind, will, and emotions with where we are seated spiritually so that we can translate back into our body, into a physical expression. When we meditate, we unlock realms of consciousness so that we can be aware, see, and experience our true seat in Christ. So in other words, we practice ascension. So yes, we know we are seated with Christ in heavenly places, but ascension, or the practice of ascension, is so that to unlock what we are in Christ, the awareness of being seated with Him. And we do that through meditation. We want to tap into the delicacies, the ecstasies of being completely overcome by the presence of Jesus, being drunk in that sweet wine, being completely enraptured, that anything tangible or physical has got no bearing on your body. It is like you are just completely enraptured in Jesus. Now, there are certain experiences that mystics experience in that pursuit of the oneness and the union that we have in Christ. And one of those, or two of those experiences, are trances and ecstasies. What are they? They are states of altered consciousness that can be induced by various means, such as meditation, music, dancing, and all sorts of other ritual practices, chanting, activating those realms of who and what we are in Him. What is a trance? A trance is a state of consciousness where you as an individual experience a sense of detachment from your surroundings and a heightened level of focus of internal experiences of what is happening in that winehouse. In a trance, you may experience a narrowing of your attention, like a time distortion that beginning and end comes all together in one. And I mean, a trance can be induced by various means: deep relaxation, rhythmic stimulation, repetitive chanting, meditations. So trances can be experienced in different degrees of intensity: deep trance, light trance states. The point is, when we are so enraptured in the love of Jesus, it is like your physical body cannot contain it. Being enraptured in that winehouse, in that ecstasy, triggers a deep trance state. An ecstasy, on the other hand, now that's a state of intense emotional, sensory experience. So it's often associated with the feelings of like intense joy, love, rapture. So an ecstatic experience is characterized by that heightened sense of awareness, that feeling of being one with Jesus. Now, ecstasy can be induced by many ways: music, dance, meditation, chanting, trances, and ecstasies. I mean, it's been part of religious practices for thousands of years. These altered states of consciousness can be profound effects on your individual perceptions, your beliefs, your behaviors. And they're often seen as a means of accessing deeper spiritual truths and insights. They like gateways. They open and they enrapture you into the divine union of Christ. If those things didn't work, the enemy wouldn't have copied it. The New Age and the occult is squatting on our inheritance. If you think of Teresa of Avila, Saint Teresa, she would go and meditate on the word, and she would start to ascend into the heavenly realms, that her body would start to levitate. Her assistant, who is next to her, would put her hand underneath her body to just make sure that this woman is in the air. Now, I know for the general Christian person out there that levitation would seem like something that's demonic. Why are we constantly taking the beauties and the ecstasies of what Jesus has given us relating to the demonic realm? I want to challenge you with something. Stop letting the New Age and the demonic, or at least the occult, be your reference. You are giving them way too much power than they need. When we engage in trances and ecstasies, we break the boundaries of the physical world. I mean, an example from the word is in the book of Samuel, and the company of prophets, and the ecstasies and the ascension that they were encountering. And as they eventually started to prophesy, Samuel encountered them, and he completely lost himself into such a state that he stripped his clothes off and he lay on the floor for days. Don't tell me that's just moving in an encounter with the Spirit. That is entering deep state, stepping into an ecstasy and a trance-like state. That wine house, the presence of Jesus, that so overwhelms you that it completely incapacitates you because you are so overcome and enraptured by that emotion. So for a mystic, ascensions are important because it unlocks your consciousness and your awareness of where you're really at. Ascension is a discipline to experience the fullness of the Spirit and to see it. I know there are people that are skittish about the words like trance, relocation, and ecstatic and trance states. But even as we explain, when we encounter that place, when Saul encountered it, he changed. The scripture says he changed into a different person. I mean, we're talking about Saul. Why is it that we are so scared of the extreme when religion has watered down so that we would be comfortable with an environment that does not echo our original design? You know the name Saint Frances of Assisi? He got so enraptured in his meditation times that he spoke to creation. He heard the animals' voices speak to him. You could speak to them. Why are they here? And what is their purpose? See, what does meditation do? It unlocks your ability in Christ. Make no mistake that some mystics were burned at the stake, being accused of witchery, completely misunderstood and misinterpreted, or because that the action of pursuing the deep and the manifestation of the spirit realm offended the religious minds. Constantine changed church. He brought religion into what was freedom in the spirit. John Chrysostom, you know these names. He was from the 4th century, and he warned against the nature of Christian chants because they were chanting the name of Yahweh, and he warned that there was no need for instruments in service where they were worshiping. I mean, how ridiculous. You got to realize that what the mystics are pursuing now is what the early church were doing. Here's another name. Saint Augustine was against musical instruments. And he described that the pipe and the harp and all those kinds of things were intimate, sensual, heathen cults. These were people that we considered as fathers in the Christian faith in the early centuries. Pope Gregory, he launched an assault against the Christian faith and he shut down congregational singing. I mean, these are basic things I'm mentioning to you. Now, if they would do that to the basics, imagine what they did to the other stuff. William Booth, he's the founder of the Salvation Army. And he had this question: why should the devil have all the best tunes? And you can take that further. Why does the devil have to have all the best meditations? Why does the devil have to have all the best chanting, ascension, trances? I mean, we can go on this forever. But somehow we've given him the credit for those things when all he is a copycat. The Montanians, they were condemned as heretics by the Catholic Church because when they prophesied, they were filled to such a spiritual excitement that they fell into trances and unnatural ecstasies. It offended the church, and they were branded as heretics. We got to realize that the modern day church is still governed by this old framework of religion. What do mystics want? We do not want that framework. You might think that a mystic is purely focused on the outward expression and manifestations, but that's quite the opposite. True mystics lose themselves in the beauty, the sweetness, and the ecstasy, the new wine of the love of Jesus, to such an extent that trances, ecstasies, meditations are expressions of being completely enraptured in that new wine place. That's it for part 2. I trust and I hope that it stirred your spirit to break the boundaries of religion. We want the new mystics to rise. I love you big time.